in most of my experience working with clients, people really have put very little thought into what it means to have a dog. They have maybe one or two ideas, pictures that they see in their mind. I'm jogging with my dog, I could see that, and that's it. I'm at the dog park with my dog, and look, he's playing with other dogs, and I'm smiling. That's all they have. They don't see the vet bills. They don't see the dog going through different age and different development. They don't see the dog trying to jump on the table. They never, they don't think about the dog being in a crate and crying and getting used to being separated from the pack. So if you're working like 80, 90 hours a week, the best bet is to get yourself a King Charles Cavalier. Of course, you need support and help. As a matter of fact, if you're working that much, you probably shouldn't get any dog. Hey friends, this is Martin Wright from Argos Dog Training up here in Boston, and today's video is actually for those of you who might be thinking about getting a dog to get the, the conversation, getting things going with that. And if you are thinking about getting a dog, you might like this video. We have just a few questions, just as some places to start. All right, so here we go. Yeah, so the question is, does breeds matter when you're selecting a dog? Does it affect the dog's personality? And the answer to that question is yes, the breed of the dog does matter, and it does affect the dog's personality. The thing is that when we breed dogs, what we're doing is we're taking away natural selection and we're using human selection. That means that if I want a dog that's really fast, I breed the two fastest dogs that I have. Fastest female, fastest male, and I breed them. And then they have puppies. And then my neighbor also bred his two fastest. So he has a fast male, fast female, he bred them, and they have puppies. And we take the fastest out of those two litters, and we breed those together. And we keep doing that, and then what happens is that the puppies, the dogs, the things that make them fast, those things become more prevalent in the dog. So they become faster and faster. The same is true about when you breed a dog for protection work or for herding, right? The things that we're breeding for, those things become more prevalent. Now, why is that important? Because if I'm taking a pet dog, let's say I'm taking a Border Collie into my home or a Australian Shepherd into my home, I have to keep in mind that these dogs have been bred to run alongside horses for 9, 10, 12 hours a day, to chase bulls and cows and sheeps, or sheep, sorry, to chase sheep for all day long. There's an old saying that like a Border Collie could do the work of 9 men or could make work for 9 men. So if I'm living in a lifestyle where I don't have time to go out and do something with that dog, then that's gonna matter a lot to what the dog is gonna do inside the house. Like if I have a Border Collie and I'm a lazy person, then the Border Collie is gonna be bouncing off the walls inside the house. Same thing with a Beagle. Beagles are bred to bay as they're chasing prey. Hounds are bred to make ooh, that kind of noise as they're running after prey. That's inside of the dog. So they're gonna make those noises around the house. The sirens might go off outside, there's a fire somewhere and a fire truck is going by and you might hear your hound go, ooh, that's normal. Also, small dogs are bred to alert us, so they bark more, So all these things, yes, breed definitely matters, and you need to know the breed of your dog before you select them. So the question is, a lot of times we will see videos or whatever, or people will talk about dogs like, German Shepherds or Dobermans, and they'll say that this dog absolutely needs to be trained. My personal opinion on that is that every dog needs to be trained. But yes, when you get into more powerful breeds, you do need to have a way to communicate with them so that way you're not forced to use just your physical strength in order to control the dog. That is way too hard. If you're tired or whatever, it's going to be way too hard. All breeds should be trained. The powerful breeds definitely need training as well, and you need to take that into account as you select the breed. So the question here is about nature versus nurture. How much of the dog's temperament or behavior is going to be directly related to the breed, and how much of it can be affected by the training and upbringing of the dog. Well, you can't make a duck into an eagle. That's number one. That is not going to happen. But you can take a dog, and through the way that you raise it, you could get a very different temperament and personality from the dog. We know that there are some terriers out there that were bred to hunt vermin, and they have a certain temperament or certain personality. That same terrier can be a good dog on the couch if we raise it that way since it was a puppy. So what we do with the dog, especially when they're young, that's going to affect the nature of the animal. It's going to affect the behavior or the temperament of the animal. But if you have a dog like, say, a Malinois that's been bred to bite, you might notice that even as a young puppy, they're more mouthy. And as they grow up, they're going to be using their mouth more, than a dog that like a King Charles Cavalier that wasn't bred to do that kind of thing. So the question is, how does gender affect dogs? Now, there's a bunch of stuff out there where people say like a female dog is smarter or whatever. I don't believe it is. I think the biggest difference that gender has on the dog is actually the size. I think that's what it is. So your male German Shepherd is going to be larger than your female German Shepherd. And I think that's true for every single breed. So size is the biggest difference with gender. Of course, if you're a breeder, there's other things that go into it, but I'm not talking about that. I'm not addressing that. I'm addressing pet dogs and people who are thinking about adopting those dogs. So the question here is about the size of the dog and the energy level that the dog has. Energy level is independent of size, right? So a Jack Russell Terrier is a Jack Russell Terrier. It's going to have a lot of energy. Great Danes, they're Great Danes, and generally they might want to move around a lot, but they're generally lower energy dogs. Greyhounds are really fast, but as soon as you get inside the house, a lot of times they just want to lay around. They're couch potatoes, But a Jack Russell Terrier is always bouncing. A Malinois is always going to be going because we bred for that kind of energy level. So size does not directly correlate with energy level. So the question is, what's the difference between getting a dog from a shelter or getting a dog from a breeder? As far as a dog trainer, my thing with that is that if I use a breeder, then I have much more information about the dog. Because the breeder has been breeding dogs for generations. So they know, medically what is likely to happen with that dog. They know the temperament. They know all that kind of stuff. Not only that, I get the dog at 8 weeks old. And if I know the breeder, then I know what, from week 0 to week 8, what the dog has been through. And then I get the dog at 8 weeks old and I'm working with the dog from then. So I'm raising the dog. I have much more influence over those early socialization periods and early developmental periods of the dog. While when you get rescue a dog, it's a little bit different in that you don't get as much information. You don't know as much about the dog. And the older the dog is, the less you actually know about the dog. The question is, will a shelter dog be easier to house train because they're generally already adults, while a bred dog or a dog that you purchase from a breeder, will that be harder? No, the adult dog does not necessarily make it easier to house train. As a matter of fact, a lot of times it can make it harder to house train that dog if they have associations that are preset, and if they've been doing those things for a long period of time. So no. All right, so the question that just has been popped into my lap just right now is, what are some things that people might not have thought about when they adopt or get a dog? And the answer to that is so big. In most of my experience working with clients, people really have put very little thought into what it means to have a dog. They have maybe 1 or 2 ideas, pictures that they see in their mind. I'm jogging with my dog, I could see that, and that's it. I'm at the dog park with my dog, and look, he's playing with other dogs, and I'm smiling. That's all they have. They don't see the vet bills. They don't see the dog going through different age and different development. They don't see the dog trying to jump on the table. They never, they don't think about the dog being in a crate and crying and getting used to being separated from the pack, and things like that. So are there things to think about? Yes, there are a lot of things to think about. Am I going to be able to tell you what they are in this little clip? Absolutely not. I can't tell you everything that you need to think about. If you're thinking about getting a dog, I do have some other videos on this channel about Pet Finder and the dogs there. You should take a look at those. You should talk to your friends who have dogs. You should find a very tired pet dog walker who works with dogs all the time and it's like a little bit overworked maybe, because they're going to tell you the truth about dogs in general. One of the things when I was hiring people to work for Argos dog training, one of the things that was a big red flag for me was if somebody came in and they said, I love all dogs, because dogs all have their own temperament and personality. And while I work with dogs as a professional, I'm professional with every dog. I do not love all dogs. There's some dogs out there that are not easily lovable. All right. And just like how some people you get along with better than other people, and there's some people you're like, you know what, I'd rather not get along. The same is true kind of with dogs. They have temperaments and personalities, and there's some personalities that I do really well with, and there's some personalities that I don't do as well with. But just because I don't get along with a person or a dog that well, like they're like a brother to me, it doesn't mean that I can't work with them in a professional manner. And that's important too. But I would definitely, the dogs that I own them because I like them. I like them as who they are, So hope that answers the question. Okay, so there are a lot of topics that we weren't able to cover in this quick guide. It's supposed to be quick. I hope it's under 10 minutes, but it might not be. So there's a lot of things that we weren't able to cover in this quick guide. Definitely check out more on the channel. That's going to give you more information. Talk to more people. While you're checking out more on the channel, definitely hit the subscribe button. Check the description below. You're going to see links there to take you to our other social media outlets, and you can learn more about different kinds of dogs from watching those outlets. I put a lot of information out there in the world, and maybe some of it is useful to you. And then definitely, once you do get a dog, make sure you enjoy every day that you have with that dog, and make sure you enjoy the dog themselves. Take it easy.